Emma squeezed her eyes shut as the carriage rattled over another bump in the road. Her stomach lurched, a mixture of travel sickness and dread. She was on her way to Castle Ravencrest, where she'd been hired as a maid. It was a good opportunity, they said, a chance to work for nobility, to earn more than she ever could in her tiny village. So why did she feel like she was heading to her doom? The carriage crested a hill, and Emma's breath caught in her throat. There it was, Castle Ravencrest. Its dark stone towers clawed at the sky, and even from this distance, Emma could see that many of the windows were dark, like empty eye sockets in a skull. "Welcome to your new home, girl," the driver cackled, his voice raspy and cold. Emma shivered. Home. Right. The entrance hall of the castle was cavernous, the ceiling so high it disappeared into shadows. Candles flickered in wall sconces, their light barely penetrating the gloom. A tall, thin woman glided towards Emma, her black dress. As they walked through winding corridors, Emma's skin prickled. She could have sworn she heard whispers coming from the walls, but when she turned to look, there was nothing but tapestries and shadows. Mrs. Blackwood showed her to a tiny room in the servants' quarters. "You'll start work at dawn," she said. "Do not wander the castle at night. Do not enter the West Wing. And do not, under any circumstances, respond if you hear someone calling your name after dark." With that, she swept out of the room, leaving Emma alone. That night, Emma tossed and turned on her lumpy mattress. The whispers were louder here, a constant susurration just on the edge of hearing. She buried her head under her pillow, trying to block it out. "Emma," her eyes snapped open. That wasn't a whisper. That was a voice, clear as day, calling her name. "Emma, come to us." She sat up, heart pounding. The voice seemed to be coming from the corridor. Against her better judgment, Emma crept to the door and opened it. It was hard to make out in the gloom, but it seemed to be beckoning to her. "Emma, we've been waiting for you." Emma's hand trembled on the doorknob. Mrs. Blackwood's warning echoed in her mind, but the voice was so compelling, so sweet, she took a step into the corridor. Suddenly, a hand clamped over her mouth. Emma tried to scream, but no sound came out. She was dragged backwards into her room, the door slamming shut. "Foolish girl," hissed a voice in her ear. It was Mrs. Blackwood. "Do you want to end up like the others?" The housekeeper released her, and Emma spun around. In the faint moonlight from her small window, she could see the older woman's face. It was tight with fear. What others?" Emma stammered. Mrs. Blackwood's eyes darted to the door. The whispering had grown louder, and now Emma could hear scratching, as if something was trying to claw its way in. "The castle is hungry," Mrs. Blackwood whispered. "It lures in the young, the innocent, feeds on them." "My dear, who said we have a choice?" The scratching at the door grew more frenzied. Emma could see the wood starting to splinter. "What do we do?" she whimpered. Mrs. Blackwood pulled her to the far corner of the room. "We wait, we endure, and we pray that the castle's hunger is satisfied before it breaks through." As the door began to crack, Emma realized with horror that her new job might be a lot more permanent than she'd thought. In Castle Ravencrest, it seemed, there was no quitting and no escape.